then bringing that shoulder line in a little bit to make the travel lane out of the roadway will still be the same width. So I think that's something we'll consider. I don't know if that'll be that successful in slowing down the traffic. I think the real thing here for the community and our neighbors is, quite frankly, enforcement. And if it's regularly enforced, people will slow down. They will. I would also tell you, we did off-peak observations of speeds during the peak periods. They're probably more at the speed limit because it is a little bit busier and people tend to slow down. So it's when there's not a lot of traffic up there that people tend to go fast. In my final point, sidewalks along our frontage are kind of have an issue with that. And I think our philosophy is, and I agree with Mr. Prince about having pedestrian amenities and having a network, but this community doesn't have one out there. So for us to build sidewalks along our frontage to encourage people to walk, and then all of a sudden it ends, and they're forced to walk on the roadway, is not necessarily a good thing. It puts people walking into the roadway, and we think that's a liability concern. So I think that we have more of a concern with that recommendation. I think the other ones we can work with, but we have somewhat of a concern with that. So I think in summary, your consultant agreed with the study, the methodology of findings. He said very clearly, if we meet the safety criteria, and I think that's important, it's safe out there. Our proposal is safe. With that, thank you.
Well, let me ask you a question. If there are going to be children in this complex, I gather, it seems to me obvious that there'll be some number, perhaps at this point nobody knows how many, but there will be kids there. If anybody thinks that they are going to not wander into the street, I think they don't know children very well. So the issue is, does a sidewalk, yes, it may lead to nowhere, but does it indeed encourage them to congregate on a sidewalk and not in the street? Logic tells me that it does. It may not prevent all of them from being in the street, but it will prevent some. So I think the recommendation that a sidewalk be built on West Street in this area is not unreasonable, because after all, you're injecting a lot of people into an area that doesn't have them now. And a lot of those people are going to be kids, and if to the extent you can keep them out of the street, that's important. And I don't worry about them so much that it's a sidewalk to nowhere, because it is only designed, in my judgment, to keep people who are in that area from being in the street, which I think, given a street that has a history of excessive speed and congestion, that's important. So I'd urge you to at least think about that.
Well, I think that, we're going to consider all the recommendations. I just wanted to kind of give you kind of our thought process, and certainly we agree that people walking on a sidewalk is a safer option, but if you're encouraging people to walk and all of a sudden you put them in the street, there's a conflict there. So I think we will consider that. We'll consider all the recommendations. I want to kind of give you my thought process there.
Okay, well, look, I understand that there's no black and white answer to this stuff. If you have people and they've made up their mind they're gonna walk, if you don't have a sidewalk, they're gonna walk in the street. That happens all over the place. Take a look at Pine Street up here, where you got them in the street forever, walking dogs, running. It's dangerous. There are no sidewalks. I think that is also a problem here.
And actually, I think I'd add to that I think the traffic flow of the pedestrians will probably be towards 27 more than in the other direction.
May I ask how far it is from the site to the 27 West Street intersection?
I don't have the exact number, maybe a half mile, let's say.
It's not that far. It's very close to the 200 or 300 yards.
I think Mr. Prentice said it's about 1,000 feet. 300 yards is pretty close.
It's, I mean, I tend to think of these things in distances I can visualize, and if you take football fields and lay them out along that, it's probably 3, 2.5, 3. It's not a tremendous distance. Okay? Chief, would you like to address these traffic issues?